Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 came out on Tuesday in Australia, so I watched the entire TV show. I was optimistic about the series. Now I've seen it and I'm ready for a review. I will review the documentary about scientifically accuracy, entertainment, and how well it compares to the original. This will be in two parts. Part 2 coming next week. So you might know Walking with Dinosaurs 1999, the classic, with the WWD show, most dinosaur documentaries wouldn't have been made. So it's a big deal to do a reboot. Let's see if it can stack up against the original. Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 is an okay dinosaur documentary. Now, is it a good Walking with documentary? No, I don't think it is. They were clearly just banking on the popularity of the Walking with Dinosaurs name, and has modern day scenes that ruin the pacing of each episode. And the Walking with series knew how to teach people without paleontologists talking. I think they should have done what Ballad of Big Al did, or what Prehistoric Planet 2 did, with a little part at the end, or an extra episode of all the scientific parts. And the CGI isn't good as Prehistoric Planet. Some scenes were well done, but some scenes just look like clay. The shadows, motions, and models don't look as good as of 2025. Almost seems rushed. Anyway, let's get ready for a review. Episode 1, The Orphan. By the way, none of these episodes have a Triassic episode, and one Jurassic episode at the very end. Anyway, back to Clover. Designs. Clover the baby Triceratops looks as good as the real thing, and I can't point any faults, and shows the difference between juvenile and an adult. And they say she belongs in a herd. However, the largest Triceratops bone bed was only 5 adolescent Triceratops, unlike Centrosaurus, which has been found in the thousands. This Triceratops design is probably the most accurate we've ever seen, better than Prehistoric Planet's one. See the frill, how it's smooth ridges, and not like Jurassic Park or Prehistoric Planet's one? These little spikes get absorbed into the frill while growth. And it's a good T. Paraursis, which should be the correct species shown at the end of the Cretaceous. The Tyrannosaurus design was an okay model. The head's a little off, but I still think the Prehistoric Planet one's better. Oh, the Edmontosaurus, the main character of the series. It's in 3 out of 6 episodes. This Edmontosaurus annectens, 66 million years ago, they shot off the soft tissue head crest. This is only found in the earlier Canadian species, Edmontosaurus regalis, and show it's a sexual dimorphism, which may be true, but the blue wasn't very likely colour. We think it would have been more brown, and the face is a little too blunt and short. And the Infernodracon looks as good as any Asdark it should. Accuracy. Parental guidance in Asdarchids is still speculative. Multiple eggs have been found with no signs of adults, so they may have cared for eggs, but probably laid them and then leave. The T-Rex has padding on the feet like an elephant. That makes it walk quieter than you in the accurate Hell Creek, which is accurate. And they claim T-Rex was a nocturnal predator, using the scleral rings of relatives show that had poor nighttime vision compared to its daytime vision. Still 10 times better than our vision. The present day scenes did annoy me a little bit because it spoils what happens, but the coolest thing happens during the present day scene in this episode. It repeats a lot from other documentaries, but the mineral detector drone was very cool. I knew technology was being tested on, but didn't know it was this far ahead. CGI isn't bad, but it looks like clay in the shadows, and the interaction in the environment doesn't look very good. Coprolites get a mention, which is good, because coprolites help us find out what the diet and what the last meal of an animal was. And let's talk about the killing machine T-Rex. Every time the T-Rex is on screen, it's killing something or trying to, along with all the other carnivores in the series. Now, this is a thing in all the episodes, obviously, but it is sad that the main character dies after spending 48 minutes with them. But it is accurate. Episode 2, River Dragon. Sobek the Spinosaurus hasn't been in a documentary since 2019 in Amazing Dino World, and it's the best design so far. The sail with the dip is speculative due to incompleteness, but the smooth sail is just as likely. And they claim Spinosaurus was only 11 meters long, yet the real animal was 13 to 15 meters. But they did say Sobek wasn't fully grown. The baby Spinosaurus seemed good, as we know of. Carcharodontosaurus hasn't been in a documentary since 2013 from Planet Dinosaur. And it looks a little sharp and spiky at first, but it looks like the best Carcharodontosaurus design in any documentary. The Elanqua design is amazing and terrifying and continues the dinosaur documentary trend of baby murder. Ongapristis looks more accurate than the Planet Dinosaur one. Looks more like a skate and not like a shark, unlike previous depictions. The Paralotitan is the best titanosaur in any documentary and has osteoderms which seem likely from relatives. Did they put Diplocalus in a Cretaceous episode? A massive amphibian from the Permian, 200 million years earlier than this episode? I know there are fragmented salamander fossils in the Chemchem beds, but it wouldn't look like Diplocalus. The unnamed iguanodontid from the Chemchem is most likely meant to be Minquara, but is a lambeosaurid, and not an iguanodontid. And no crest has been preserved, how it's likely it would have had some similar to Lambeosaurus, and lived 33 million years later than the episode takes place. The Elosuchus is an alligator, using real-life footage, which is nice, but was closer looking to an Indian gharial than an alligator. Spinosaurus is constantly changing, especially with the swimming debates. Lots of evidence supports each method of feeding, either underwater foraging theory and onshore waiting method. I don't know what to believe anymore. I make an in-depth video eventually about it. The Spinosaurus didn't have lips, unlike evidence of other theropods. If it was aquatic, lips wouldn't be necessary. Moral of the story, Spinosaurus is a mess. The Spinosaurus, in one shot, appears to have pronated its wrist, which would have to break bone to perform this motion. Niche partitioning gets mentioned. Carcharodontosaurus is a land predator, Spinosaurus is an aquatic predator, and Elosuchus as a generalist. Rugops, Baharisaurus, Deltadromeus, Stomatosuchus are ignored. Video on the Chemchem beds coming soon. Parental care in Spinosaurus is unknown, like everything else to do with Spinosaurus. But the father taking care is possible, like in some modern birds, and babies riding the adults for safety and transport, like in modern gharials. And the CGI is okay. The shadows can be a bit off, but it's not bad. Slit pupils seem likely in Spinosaurus if, and this is a big if, Spinosaurus was aquatic and needed low light eyes for the deep water. And the Spinosaurus that attacked Sobek acts completely monstrous and attacks for no reason and kills Sobek by biting him on the neck. The River Dragon is the best episode so far. Doing Spinosaurus was a bold decision, and it did better than any other documentary so far. Episode 3, Bandock Brothers Design. George the Gastonia was very well designed. They should have made some features less developed because George is only a subadult, but for the adults it looks very well. Even the bright underbelly and brown top is accurate. The Utahraptor just looks like a generic large dromaeosaurid when the real Utahraptor had a weird jaw, like Massicosaurus, with a bottom jaw slowly sliding down. When they said Paleoloxodon, I had to pull up my phone and search it up. It's great to learn something new. And the design is very good. Maybe some quills or proto-feathers like other iguanodontids. Pack hunting is still hard to know, and it is an exception, not the norm. The big block of Utahraptors is said to be quicksand, and it could be a predator trap, letting one Utahraptor get stuck, then the corpse attracting other Utahraptors, or the fire pushing them all towards this one small area into quicksand. So the pack hunting is still not certain. The Utahraptor gets very close to the Gastonia without smelling the threat, and Kylosaurids have some of the best sense of smell for a herbivorous dinosaur, so they would have sensed the threat way before this. An Asian relative with fossilized larynx and was close to the shape in birds, meaning most likely chirped like a bird and not deep growls like the Gastonia did in the documentary. George and his friends act very childlike and act like human siblings, and Kylosaurus is one of the least intelligent dinosaurs, and most likely are not social. The present day scenes ruined the pacing of this episode the most. With it just spoiling and ruining a scene, the CGI as well looked like clay and didn't interact with the background at all. The headbutting in Kylosaurs seem likely. We have found injured heads of Asian relatives. They claim Utahraptor kicked its prey to death, however the claws won't be strong enough. They most likely used raptor prey restraints, hooking their claws into the prey while using their teeth to rip through the flesh of the prey. They also claim the raptors were super intelligent, which may be possible. There are a lot of studies, like that one on T-Rex, that found out that T-Rex had 3 billion neurons, which is the same as a baboon. However, newer ones only 1 billion, which seems more likely. Theropods were smart for reptiles, however, more research is needed. A 300-kilogram Utahraptor by itself managed to lift a 1-ton Gastonia using only its head. Also, after getting the kill, the Utahraptor acts bloodthirsty while having a large meal next to it. This is Jurassic Fight Club level of bloodthirsty. They depict iguanodons with normal pupils, however some studies have suggested goat eyes are possible, however more research is also needed. They also say Ankylosaurids were slow due to small legs, which is accurate. They also tend to reuse footage multiple times during the episode, and the lack of gore was very obvious, especially when the other episodes showed a lot of gore, like in real-life documentaries. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more paleontology news. Part 2